Let's do a show. Let's do a show right now. What are we doing?
This is Kramer.
Welcome in. Welcome to it. Today's March the 14th at 7:05. Looks like the sun may be out. Amazing. I got here at 3 o'clock this morning. Woke up way early. I don't know what's wrong with me lately. You know, this whole work ethic thing, you know, it's just too much. People like Rachel need to step up to the plate and start doing some work around here.
I know. I feel like such a slacker.
You just loser.
Yep.
Scott Major is with us. Scott Major from Major and Paruas and the Storm Help Team. If you have a legal question, you need somebody that can answer it without fail. He is definitely the man. 850-233-9988. You can hop on the air and ask him a question. 850-233-9988. Welcome, the one and only Scott Major. What's happening?
Hey, pal. How's it going, man?
It's super duper. How are you?
I'm doing just wonderful.
Up and at 'em this morning? You get shot out of the bed like a cannon?
I did, my friend. I did.
Scott Major, do you get a full 8 hours at night, or do you need less?
I think 2 or 3 is probably optimal.
Wow! Look at that.
We got a lot to accomplish here.
Yes, we do, my friend. You know, we had this billboard idea, and we're sitting here racking our brains, and I went, and so has Rachel. We've all been looking around for pictures to use on this billboard that we're taking out in Washington, D.C., and when you type in on Google, you just type in, you know, Panama City, Hurricane Michael, the images that come up are, I mean, damn near unbelievable. And we've got businesses around here that are hurting. We've got residents that are nowhere closer to being in their homes than they were a day after the storm. And after a while of seeing it and hearing it, it starts to, it gets you down, but then you start to kind of get angry a little bit too. So there's that.
Yeah, it's like a bomb hit the place, and I'll tell you, I see this so much in these situations where, you know, after the media cycle has finished and the week has ended, how you are, you know, one of the forgotten, and then you're left as victims of the storm to attempt to, you know, find your way through the labyrinth of insurance coverage, you know, and so many people are left either frustrated or without any remedy, and, you know, armed with the idea that most people, till our program came on, didn't even understand they had an option for a lawyer. You know, you could imagine the frustration and the upset, and how many people probably give up. And as a result of giving up, you know, have this just truly, truly unfortunate scenario before them of they're not getting the recovery they want, and they have, you know, no idea what to do. And it really is a sad and frustrating thing.
What percentage of people that have insurance on their homes after a hurricane? Now, this is an arbitrary, I mean, this may be, there may not be any numbers to back it up, but you've covered enough of these where you would probably have a good educated guess at least. What percentage of people that own homeowners insurance wind up giving up at some point after a storm?
Well, I think it's really a complete guess, but my sense is that they probably have between 20 and 30% of the people, you know, give up. I will tell you, there's probably another 20 or 30% on top of that accept whatever is paid, and then another 20 or 30% on top of that accept what they get from an adjuster or other, you know, non-lawyer. And so you're left with a small amount of people that are really aggressively pursuing this to the end, because there's so many myths out there that create obstacles, such as, you know, they assume that whatever the insurance company first pays is what they're only going to pay, and they don't know what rights they have, and delays occur, and then other damage occurs. Say you get mold as a result of not being able to fix your property, and then the insurance company doesn't pay that, so it costs you more money out of your pocket. So there is a large portion of people that don't get fully paid, and you'll see a lot of eventual lawsuits that come out, but it's a small portion of the overall claims. If there's a million claims out there and there's 50,000 lawsuits, you know, you're talking about a small percentage. Those even smaller ones get fully paid. So it's an unfortunate game, and the way the system is set up, fortunately in Florida, you have this Chapter 627.428, which gives you attorney's fees, which tries to level the playing field so that when you have a $400 claim or a $4,000 claim, you're not completely in the dark, in terms of not being able to get help. You can still get any lawyer you want because that lawyer can recover attorney's fees from the other side. And so, it's really an educational thing that you and I have gone through with helping so many listeners even understand what their policies mean and then understand that they have rights. A lot of the vendors that are out there that are helping people, they may be nice, but they don't know how to read insurance policies, so they're doing an estimate and sending it to the insurance company for you, or giving you the estimate, and then you send it in, and the insurance company pays you $20,000 of the 35, and you think that's all you're going to get. Or these claims are closed, like you and I darkly joked about, and it's just a very, very frustrating problem that can be changed if people like us get out in front of this. If people like me can represent thousands and thousands of people, out there and get them every dollar they recover. Because after a while, what happens is when they have lawyers that unfortunately are taking legal action, for these insureds, what happens is the insurance companies start realizing we don't want to litigate these claims because they're costing us tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. And they start paying all of these claims. They start paying the clients way more money because it becomes 2 and 3 and 4 times the cost to pay the actual claim. And unfortunately, that might be the motivator that you have to follow, but that's the only way to get their attention. And everybody out there who's listening, you and I see this every day because homes aren't fixed. If you want to get recovery at the max amount, you need the Scott Majors of the world, whoever they may be, to go out there and aggressively pursue your claim and honor the contract which was given to you. And it's frustrating, it's upsetting, it's depressing, but the reality is there is a remedy. It's not as though you have no remedy. It's that you need to avail yourself and have the courage and confidence and recognize that there are professionals out there who deeply care about rebuilding this city and this county and deeply care about trying to make your life easier. And they can do it in a way to make you whole or nearly whole in a way that you didn't imagine was possible 2, 3, 6, 10, 14 weeks ago.
Let me ask you about statute 34.7001.342-917. I always wanted to know what it would feel like to be able to remember those numbers. Let me go back to something that you mentioned. You said 20 or 30% of people give up. 20 or 30% accept what the insurance is going to pay them, and then another say 20, 30%. Just accept what a PA, a public adjuster, is going to get them. And if you take those numbers, you're talking between 60 and 90% of people that are not getting really what they deserve to get. It's not about getting overages or getting, winning the lottery. It clearly is not the right word. It just, in other words, people are not getting what they deserve, and they're accepting that in a lot of situations. Now,
whatever I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to get you, and you've talked about this before, but can you explain why someone needs to get a lawyer versus accepting what a PA tells you, why you should not accept up front what the insurance is going to do, and then for God's sakes, don't give up and just accept, hey, whatever, let's just take what they're going to give us and move on down the road.
Yeah, I know that in today's society, especially in a conservative jurisdiction as this, we want to have faith and trust that people are going to do what they say and that companies are going to honor their promises. And when they don't, it's hard to grapple with what I need to do about that, when I don't want to create conflict and I don't want to fight with people and I want to be a better person. And being a better person doesn't mean giving up. It means getting what you were promised, and nothing wrong and incorrect about simply asking somebody for what you paid for. You paid for an insurance contract. You're entitled to receive those monies. And what happens is that People don't realize that they have the power of the lawyer, and if the lawyer has the right to recover attorney's fees, let's just say you have a claim and you have $3,000 of damages, and you say, I'm never going to hire a lawyer, I can never afford a lawyer. Well, I could handle a $3,000 claim, get you all $3,000 if I'm successful, and then the insurance company has to pay my entire fee. So there are numerous scenarios under which actually low claims, you get every single dollar. So it would be crazy not to pursue that. Now, most people just don't know that. It's an ignorance factor, because if they knew it, then 14, 16 weeks ago, everybody would have called Scott Major on the phone first and then let him hire all the public adjusters and other people who then would be paid, by the insurance company. So, it's very important for people to understand that I'm really not following what the downside that people could face by hiring a lawyer. I'm willing to talk in person or on the phone with any public adjuster, with any contractor, vendor, insurance company agent. I've yet, in 20 years of seeing these thousands and thousands of claims, I've yet to have anybody explain to me why I wouldn't be beneficial to a process. And it's more about trying to create a fear amongst people, because people like me win. And if you create a fear that don't hire Scott because, you don't need a lawyer, or you only need this person or that person, what happens is you don't hire these big guns, and then I can't get the leverage that you need. Sometimes getting on the phone, we can settle a case. Sometimes we have to litigate a case. But imagine if you're an insurance company and you have a $20,000 claim, and I have to fight for a long time over it, and the insurance company has to pay all 20 to you and then has to pay me $50,000, and his own lawyer $50,000, or make up whatever number you want, that would be a big penalty to the insurance company. That would motivate them. We're in business to make money. We better be a little bit more, circumspect when we decide whether we're going to challenge these claims. And we have to shift the paradigm. We have to change the leverage. And the only way to change the leverage is to let them know that the big bad wolf is coming into town, that there's a new sheriff in town. And that new sheriff, his name is Scott Major. Or that new sheriff, his name is ABC Lawyer. And I'll tell you what happens is, I've dealt with so many of these claims. The insurance companies respond because they either have coverage or they don't. I mean, we have vendors calling us to have assignments of benefits, condos calling us. We have individuals calling us, churches calling us. I mean, everybody's suffering, and nobody's being treated in any better way than anybody else. Some people are being paid. This is not about whether the insurance company has paid anybody. This is not about the 100,000 claims that have been paid. This is about the million that haven't. This is about, if you take a $20 billion damage assessment and then you say that 40% of the people don't, pursue the claims because they get sweated out, or whatever you want to label that, that's $8 billion of profits that went to the insurance company or somebody other than you. I'm not sure that that's a good model or a fair model to live by. And I just want to level the playing field. I'm not trying to get a dollar more from our clients that they don't deserve, but I'm certainly not going to allow them to pay a dollar less. I see nothing wrong with that. Nothing.
I looked up the Wikipedia of Hurricane Michael. I think it was yesterday, and I want to say that when it's all said and done, as of right now, I think the estimation on the total damages was exceeding $50 billion. I want to say that sounds crazy, but I think that's the number that I read. We'll go back and double check on Wikipedia, but that tells a major story. There's no sense in you sitting around waiting on something to happen, and there's no sense in you accepting what the insurance company tells you. And it sounds like a broken record, but man, gosh, there's just no sense in it, and people are sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting.
You're right, Kramer. It's just hard for people to grapple with the idea that, geez, I need a lawyer, or the idea of, gosh, a lawyer's going to be expensive, or all the myths that are associated with trying to debunk the hiring of a lawyer, this conspiratorial campaign by those that don't want lawyers involved. Again, you have to deal with truth. You have to deal with reality. You and I had a discussion last show about what's true and what's not, and how sometimes the media and other sources, can contribute to the disinformation and misinformation that's out there. If you were sitting out here right now and you were saying to yourself, geez, what has Trump done? You would say to yourself, that's awful. He's done absolutely nothing if you listen to the media. But then if you turn and look at the actual facts and you see that the economic growth was 4.2%, in 2018, the second quarter, and for the first time in more than a decade, that growth is projected to be over 3% per year. You wouldn't believe that if you didn't know that 4 million new jobs have been created since the election. You would think that you were dumb. If you didn't know that the jobless claims are the lowest level in nearly 5 decades since Trump has come on board, or that unemployment claims are at a 50-year low, or that African-American unemployment hit a record low of under 6%, or that Hispanic unemployment is at a record low of 4%, or that female unemployment dropped in 2018 to 3.6%, or that veterans unemployment hit the lowest levels in 2 decades.
My gosh.
You think the end of the world was coming. But
wow.
Again, these are things which, happened as a result of Trump coming in. And if you don't like that and you don't hear that, then you assume, oh gosh, he's only talking about the horribles. If I was a spokesperson, I'd be standing with the billboards like you have, arguing all these things. I would talk about all the tax cuts. I would talk about, how much defense, how much support for this jurisdiction, keeping the detention facilities at Guantanamo Bay, $700 billion in military funding, the largest military pay raise in nearly a decade. I mean, I could go on and on and on. These are facts, but you don't hear these facts because you get manipulated by either myths or media. The same thing happens in the hurricane recovery world, where you don't have people being educated that they have rights, that they have the ability to have a lawyer who sometimes will be free, sometimes will be a small fee, but can leverage your claim and get you fully paid and get our city rebuilt.
All right, we got Scott Major on. You got a question? We'll do some phones next. 850-233-9988. 850-233-9988. More with Scott Major, Sheriff Major, coming up. Stand by.
What are you stopping for?
Do I make myself clear?
Hey, I heard about the radio.
I never heard of that.
Back to the most listened to morning show in the Panhandle. This is the Kramer Show on NewsTalk at 101.
Scott Major is with us this morning. Scott's been handling insurance claims and cases for over 30 years. So if you've got questions, light them up, 850-233-9988. Grant, you're up.
Good morning, Kramer.
Good morning.
Mr. Majors.
How you doing, pal?
Doing good. Kramer, I have wanted for the last few days to call and get something off my chest. I want to tell you about that man you have on the phone with you right now. His name may be on the wall of that firm, but his boots are in the mud.
Okay, good.
I am one of his clients. Actually, my mother-in-law. And the other day, we had a conference call, and he did not have to be on the conference call with us. He could have farmed it off to somebody else, but he was willing to be there and listen and help us out.
I mean, I've said it. I've sang his praises for forever now. I mean, he's been on for, gosh, I mean, what, 4 months now, maybe even more. And when he says he really wants to help, he does mean that. And he means if you call him and you want to talk to him, he'll talk to you. I mean, we've had countless numbers of people over the past 4 months that have called up and said that he directly helps. And he means that.
And see, I live in Marietta and work in Panama City. And so he's helping us out in Marietta, and his associates and all have decided to start branching out and helping out more people in Marietta. They didn't realize that the outer communities haven't had as an exposure as Panama City has, and that they need just as much help, and they're trying to get the word out up here where, that they are here to help, and they are here to help us rebuild Marietta just as much as Panama City.
That's something that we don't mention enough. But I mean, this destruction, was not only in the Panhandle, it went all the way up to the gut of, or to the bottom of the southern Georgia, from here to there. And Mariana, we've taken, I love the people in Mariana. We've taken calls from there that said that their city is not getting any help, and that there are just still areas, swaths of areas there that are just demolished like crazy. So I'm glad you pointed that out.
Most of it's the lack of information. There's the lack of, what do I do? What's my next option? You know, how do I fight? How do I do what I need to do? And that's what Mr. Majors and myself and several of his associates are trying to work on, is getting that information out there. And I greatly appreciate him taking his time out of his day to help our community.
That's awesome, Grant. Thank you, my friend.
I can tell you that is really, it just warms my heart. It's like some of the best things that could ever be paid to me are those kinds of compliments where I feel like I'm actually making a difference in your community, and that it's spreading out, you know, organically in a way that is really meaningful. You know, you and I have been trying to make a difference. And, you know, we've been trying to be a voice of education and power. And it's really, really emotionally touching when we feel like we're helping people who just wouldn't be helped otherwise.
Hang on, Scott. We're going to come back. We'll do some more phones. Scott Major, more to come. Stand by.
The Kramer Show will be back in a sec on NewsTalk at 101. This is the Kramer Show. NewsTalk at 101.
7:34. Scott Major on with us. Scott Major of Major Paruas and the Storm Help Team. Stormhelpteam.org is how to find them. You can also call 844-800-LAWS. 844-800-LAWS. They also have offices located right here in Panama City. And Tallahassee, for that matter. 433 Harrison Avenue. You can call, set up a consultation. It's totally free. Go sit down right in front of someone and talk about your issues. Yeah, Scott. So we're coming up on where we just passed the 5. I think it was 5 months, right? Yeah, 5 months. Whew, time flies when you're having so much fun.
Yeah.
Jesus. I also wanted to ask you and pick your brain really quickly on the bill that they're trying to pass that says that people cannot use attorneys to go after these insurance companies, which I just find ridiculous on the surface there, and that they're trying to go after AOBs, and part of that whole process is not allowing attorneys to go after the insurance companies, which is ridiculous.
It's unfortunate that things like that occur, and I hope that more intelligent minds prevail. There really isn't any real logic or intelligence behind it. It might be political in nature, but I always like things that are done with intelligence, whether you're a Democrat or Republican or independent. It's always nice to have some logic behind it. And to me, if there was a different way to level the playing field, other than getting lawyers involved in these insurance disputes, I'd be all for it. But what do you do with the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people in the Panhandle that have not been paid their insurance monies? Do you tell them that, here's what we're going to do. We've already cut one of your arms off. Now we're going to cut your 2 legs off. Because I just don't see the logic and the common sense in allowing the politicization of our environment in such a way that it destroys human values and human rights. And so, if these things pass, it's only going to destroy individual rights, and it just seems so unfair and unjust. And, I'm hoping that as a culture, as a group, all of us, can band together, for righteousness and fairness, no matter what side you're on. And it's just a sad commentary when you see these radical things going on. I think there are problems with things like AOBs, assignments of benefits. Sure, there are problems with them. Not sure we should throw the baby out with the bathwater. But, I do think that there are genuine problems of people getting assignments of benefits and taking advantage of people. And you can legislate that. Do I think that all lawyers are wonderful? No. No more than I think that all anybody's are wonderful. But I do think that giving the ability of a lawyer to help an insurance aggrieved victim, and giving them a remedy that would motivate an insurance company to just honor their promises seems like a fair thing to do, and it's just, I don't know what's happened in our society that we feel like we've been rendered impotent, that us, you and I, and the citizens don't feel they can control their destiny or feel they have to be imprisoned by others with more power or more money. And I just think that as long as we can keep this alive to help people, it would be great. We're going to fix the system, fantastic. Make insurance companies pay or penalize them. If you're not going to do that, you need somebody who has a sword who could go out and fight your battle for you. And you see this is working for the insurance companies now, the ones that aren't, as genuine as the ones that are. And, they're making money as a result. And we don't have our homes rebuilt, and we don't have our restaurants rebuilt. And if you think Winn-Dixie doesn't want to be open, you're delusional. If you think that they're waiting to rebuild because they want to wait till the 2020 election, or till 2024 when the next eclipse is coming, I don't think that's the case. Guy's opinion.
To get on the air, 850-233-9988. 233-9988, and use this hour with Scott Major to ask him your legal questions. Seriously, take the time and just make the quick phone call, 233-9988. About that proposed bill. I've realized over the past couple of months that sometimes there is a rift between PAs and attorneys back and forth. And one of the PAs the other day told me that this bill and the proposal is ridiculous because PAs often have to use the services of attorneys. And we, the people that are going through this, have now come to the conclusion that, attorneys in this situation are pretty much, after 5 months, you're seeing that it's a pretty much a must-have at this point because of various reasons. But 850-233-9988. Let's go to Rick. You're up with Scott Major. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Kramer, Mr. Major. How you doing this great Thursday?
Great. How about yourself?
Doing outstanding. Hey, I've got a question for you, Scott. I'm not sure if this is in your purview or not, but I'm sure you have an opinion to pass on to everyone. In the next few weeks, we're going to be coming up on Income Tax Day filings, and I'm sure that those in the Panhandle and the affected disaster area has extensions that can be applied. But my question is, when your preparer, or if you're doing it yourself, asks the question if you've had any losses to claim and you have not yet been paid by your insurance company, can you claim those losses and file? And if you're paid on the backside, what happens then? I'm going to go ahead and hang up and listen to your response. I appreciate it. Thank you.
The Hurricane Michael victims will get a break on their taxes, and that they'll be granted additional time to file. And depending upon, what losses you have, you may be able to declare those losses, and then when you receive the income thereafter, be able to apply that income depending upon what you're getting the income for, whether that income is for repair of a dwelling, for example, or for payment or replacement of contents, which are more material things. I recommend that anybody who's considering this, make sure you speak to your accountant and make sure they have experience in understanding, some of the guidance that they need when they're filing tax returns and they're declaring losses that have occurred either in their business or their home, because the IRS looks at your present situation. So the fact you haven't received money it can be beneficial to you. I'd rather have the money, have my house fixed, but I encourage people to speak to each of their accountants because there are benefits that we could spend an hour talking about.
Let's skip over to Ray. Ray, you're up with Scott Major. Hello.
Good morning, gentlemen.
How you doing, Tom?
I've got mine's a little different. When my house was damaged, I had 3 different adjusters come out. Each one of them said that your house is going to end up being a total loss. The insurance company wouldn't go along with it. I'm not sure exactly why. They finally sent out somebody who said, look, we'll fix your house for you if you want. And, we'll go with it. Well, the insurance company finally closed out my claim and said, well, your new guys that are there working for you, they'll just continue to submit supplements for further repairs. At what point do they step back and say, we need to pay you out, or what? Because right now we're already about $50,000 more than what the house was even valued at prior to the storm.
Okay, so here's the way it works. If you have valid claims and your insurance company isn't paying you and you have documents that support your claims, the insurance company fits within that 90-day rule. They have to respond. If they don't, without good reason, the reason can't be, well, just wait. The reason has to be valid. Then you have the ability to file what's called a civil remedies notice, which is a complaint with the state under 624.155. That means that if they don't pay without justification, they can be responsible for 3 times the amount, plus all the attorney's fees, plus emotional and other consequential damages. So the first thing you want to do is, especially when you have people who have represented to you that they are total losses, is to write a letter to the insurance company and say, dear insurance company, just want to confirm that ABC, John Smith, John Doe, and Mary Doe all told me that the house was a total loss on these following dates. You haven't paid me the entire dwelling coverage limits of X dollars, and it's been over 90 days, and you need to confirm in writing within the next 3 days that you're going to pay me that, or explain in detail why it is you're not going to pay. Love and kisses you, and if it's not successful, then you contact us, and we'll write the letter, and then you file suit. Because if you do, then what will happen is you will end up with a lot more leverage to get the insurance company to pay the amounts now. There is no reason for you to have to wait a day longer for a dollar that you've earned and deserved through the insurance policy you rightfully purchased and paid for.
I just didn't understand why they were wanting to continue to pay once the house has exceeded the value of the original appraisal, though. I mean,
why the insurance company would pay more than the appraisal?
Why do they continue trying to put, let's fix it whenever we're already over the total amount?
Well, there may be reasons why they may fix it, because it may be unrelated to your total coverage amount, but I've never seen an insurance company voluntarily pay more than the coverage limit. And if you have that scenario and you have questions, I really would urge you to, when you get off this phone call, to dial 844-800-LAWS and get a hold of me and explain to me that more in detail offline, so I can give you some customized advice.
I appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for the phone call, Ray. 850-233-9988. It's as simple as just having a conversation with you at this point. I think just getting the ball rolling, and once you and see, that's the thing too. Kind of the peace of mind of just letting someone else that knows what they're doing, that knows the game, and let them play the quick chess. Because people just don't have time. We've said it a million times. People just want to get back to their lives, and letting someone else come in that knows what they're doing, handle it. If we ever have to go through this crap again, at least now we know that that's the basic formula. Get major on it. Let's hash it out and let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're going to see, and we've talked about this in last minutes, that there is such an importance for everybody to band together. Let us start writing some demand letters to these people, or filing suits for your entire block or your entire church crowd or your entire synagogue or whatever it is, and I'll tell you that you will start getting paid, faster than, a jackrabbit. And I'm just telling you that it's so important for people to listen to what you're saying about getting that education and hiring those lawyers and putting the pressure on, because it will get results. It really will. And let's take, you might find out that some of the coverage you thought you had, you don't have. I mean, a lot of times people send in estimates and you're just not covered for that. So you think you're entitled to some money and you're not. So okay, let's find out about that. So next time I'll make sure I get better coverage, but at least I'm not deluding myself into believing that I have a big claim when really some of those claims, I wasn't properly covered. Now, whether or not it's the fault of an agent insuring you or whether you just didn't purchase enough insurance, that's a secondary and different question that you and I are going to go over when we talk in our insurance segment. But it's certainly something that is really important. You and I scream from the hills, please, please, please get legal advice, get people involved, take action, because it will make a huge difference in your life and will make you feel better because you'll get closure one way or another. We got to rebuild this town. We got to.
Also, you've mentioned this before about getting people together, neighborhoods, condo associations, businesses, clubs, churches, whatever. I think Deb from Gambrel and Sturgis was talking to you about coming to speak in their area. I think, I want to say it was in their area, to a group of churches. That giving that education, letting people know what's going on, really important, man. Really, really important.
You'd be surprised at how many people still don't know what you and I are talking about in terms of the education of what a lawyer can tell you, all of these sections of the coverage. You heard the gentleman on from Mariana. I mean, there's just so many situations where people still are not knowledgeable. But there's nothing stronger for your claim than knowing that your neighbor got paid for the same thing. There's nothing stronger for your church than to know that 14 of the 4,000 people there got paid. You were just a block or a zip code away, and the weather was identical. So don't underestimate that. In grouping together, you'd be surprised at how fast claims would settle, and sometimes we can group claims together. But it's amazing how power and safety in numbers. I keep saying this, the 850 strong has a great meaning in the hurricane recovery world. And you can imagine if you're the insurance company and you get 50 claims instead of one, you're going to pay more attention to those when they're all in the same bed. And when one claim gets paid, 50 get paid. It's a huge advantage that all of you need to take care of. And we're going to keep repeating, you and I, until everybody takes our advice. We're dying to help people. You know how much I care about this. And the only way to do it is to get people educated and to get them comfortable with the idea that we will succeed for you, or at least give you the education you need to know to feel better about where you are in this particular position.
Phone number, got another 10 minutes left with Scott Major, 850-233-9988. 850-233-9988. Stormhelpteam.org. More to come with Scott Major next.
Kramer will be right back on NewsTalk at 101.
I'm sending love and kisses on the telephone wire.
7:53, hugs and love and kisses and gobbles of hugs. Scott Major with us today. You have a little bit of time here to get your questions in. If not, then after 8 o'clock, you can call him and his team, 844-800-LAWS, 844-800-LAWS, stormhelpteam.org. If you are a condo association, if you're a church, member of a group, and you need someone to come and speak and talk and, tell people the deal and what's going on and how to play this game, call. Set up something with Mr. Major, right? And by the way, too, you can go in for a consultation. That's free, correct?
It is. It is, and it's an educational experience, I can guarantee you. But I have a really important question for you, Kramer.
Let's do it.
And that is, has your kid or your wife worn their Love and Kisses T-shirt yet?
Absolutely. I know my wife has. I don't think my son. He has two shirts that he really wants to wear. He's in that weird 15-year-old mindset. Yes. Rachel, however, wears it all the time. In fact, we got Rachel to model it, and we put it on. I don't know. I think you saw it. Maybe you saw it.
Yeah, I did. It's impressive.
Yeah, and
I think we can. If she's not married, we could auction her off, and it would be. People would be calling in, just by the droves. That's a beautiful woman there.
Yeah, she's super duper. We love Rachel. Let's go to Mike. Mike, you're up with Scott Major. Go ahead, bud.
Hey, how y'all doing this morning?
Good.
We're doing great. Hey, listen, I got a question about storage and having to live out of the house. Say, you've got to get everything out of your house because they're going to have to get in and clean up all the mold and stuff like that. So you want to try to store your stuff outside, maybe get a pod or something like that. You're going to have to move into a hotel or something. Where do you, on your policy, can you find out what you're allotted for something like that?
Sure. That's under coverage D, your additional living expenses. It includes storage fees and your hotel and expenses and food and travel and anything of that sort that is outside of the home. Any additional living expenses, expenses caused by the storm, look under coverage D of your policy. If you have any questions, dial the 844-800-LAWS number, and we'll look at your specific policy and tell you. But it'll cover exactly what you just requested.
844-800-LAW, and
Laws.
You're an Laws. You're an adjuster or insurance?
I'm a lawyer.
You're a lawyer. Okay. Listen, is there a way to check on the web on Florida, some site about looking up at a public adjuster? A friend of mine, seems like he's got a shady adjuster, to see if he has a license?
Sure, you can go to the state of Florida, and every public adjuster is licensed just like every contractor is. And if you go into the state of Florida Department of Professional Regulation section of the site, you'll see the licensures, or if you type in the internet public adjuster Florida licenses, it'll give you the actual web address, and then you can type in the name and it'll tell you if they have a license, when they got it, et cetera, et cetera. Encourage you to check that out with every vendor.
So you can search that just with his name.
That's correct.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Mike. Mr. Scott Major, to get in contact off the air, 844-800-LAWS, and stormhelpteam.org is always fantastic. Thank you, bud.
Hey, thanks for everything, and thanks for all you do, man. Really appreciate it.
Really appreciate you. Talk to you soon. Mr. Scott Major, ladies and gentlemen.